She already ready.
You said ready.
All right.
So I can't do nothing but be ready.
What's going on, everybody? This is JT, and this is my beautiful grandmother.
Hello, everyone.
Tell me your name.
My name is Mary Jane Houston.
Now, right now, she's sitting up tall and uptight, but she's going to relax because this is where I get my silly side from. So my grandmother said, like, a few years ago, I flew down to Florida, and I was interviewing you, and I told you it's something that I always wanted to do, and I'm going to be doing it, like, on a regular basis, because these are always the questions that I ask are things that I never knew growing up, so I like to ask those questions, so we get something that I think the younger generation can look at, and even your kids, because some of this stuff I ask you, they don't even know, right?
Some of them.
Some of them. So,
they're inquisitive, but
yeah.
I try to tell as much as I know.
Yeah.
And the knowledge while I'm able to.
Okay. So can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself, like where you came from, how the family got to be here?
Long story. I originally came from Sanford, Florida. I arrived in Syracuse, well, I left Sanford, Florida when I was about 7. We arrived in Geneva, New York, because work was plentiful back at that particular time, because my parents didn't want us to be raised like on a farm or do seasonal work. So we came up on the season when school is out in Florida. We arrived in Geneva, New York. The work pick apples, and I'm not ashamed to tell anyone, grapes, pears, potatoes on the season. And this is how we migrated from Florida to Geneva, New York. And my grandfather, God bless him, him and his wife, which was my grandmother, Lucille Jesse Rutledge, they would come up from Florida to bring people to different parts of New York to work on the season farm. And it's a long story short, but I'm a hard worker.
Yeah.
So then we would come up before it got cold and work maybe 2 months or 3 months, me and my sister and my mother and father and a couple of brothers. And then before it got real cold, right around about this time, we'll be heading back to Florida. My grandfather had a busload of people, a truckload of people with their belongings.
And y'all would drive back to Florida.
Right.
So that's why you try to get out of here before it get cold.
Thank
before
you.
October.
Yeah, right. So then we would go back to Florida. My father would find odd jobs. My mother worked in a hospital. And it was a large family of us. So I came from a very large family. And this is how we learned about the North, was working seasonally. And this is how we made our money for school.
How old were you around this time?
I was about 11 or 12. I came to Syracuse when I was about 15.
Okay.
And then my parents went back to Florida. And then I was here with a relative. And the relative did not have any children. And they asked my mother, could they raise me? And my mother said yes. And that's how I stayed in Syracuse. And then my parents came back to Syracuse in 1962. But they would come back and forth, and then they decided that the jobs was plentiful in Syracuse at that particular time. So my parents found a job. My mother used to cut hair in Geneva, New York. My father worked in a factory in Geneva, New York. So raising a large family, it was tough, but we learned to survive and sacrifice and make ends meet. And it was just a blessing to learn the knowledge that I have now about hard work and a large family. And then after my parents couldn't find a type of job to make the money that they wanted in Florida, they moved here. And they stayed here until they both retired. And then I stayed here. I got married in '62. I had my children. And I moved away from here in '98, March of '98. And I had.
So you went back to Florida.
I went back to Florida. Can't stay away from Florida.
I know.
No matter what.
You always go back.
I always go back to Florida. I don't care what they say. Your home base is Florida, and then Syracuse is actually, I'll say Syracuse is my second home. And I have traveled here and there now that my children are grown. I have 7 blessed children and a lot of grandchildren.
Yeah.
13?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's 13 grands and 8.5 great grands.
Yeah. Now, here's the question I have for you guys. I know it is a few. How was it for you raising 7 children? Like back then, I can only imagine how it is for someone now. You know, I don't have any kids, but I don't know how you made it through. I've only seen my mom. Like, when people ask me like kind of how or why I became the person I am today, I always credit you and my mom, because these are like the women. And I say the village. I always say, well,
right.
I wasn't raised by just my mom. It kind of took like you and the 2 uncles. Like my dad wasn't around, so it was like I had 2 dads, Sean and Kenny.
And then granddad.
And then, oh yeah, and then
don't forget granddaddy Paul.
Yeah. And then, but I was young then. I mean, I was really young. Yeah. So that's the part that I can't remember because I was so small. But I know that those influences were there. But I always credit the entire family because it wasn't just, you know, my mom was young and my aunts were young. And my uncle, but you made sure that everybody kind of worked together.
Right.
So how was it for you when it was just you raising them, like the 7 of them?
It was very tough being separated and raising the family that I did raise. I sacrificed a lot for my children, and I wanted the best for them. I didn't want them to be raised, you know, it was hard back in the 50s to find decent jobs. And education was plentiful, but I want the best for my children. It was a tough road. I sacrificed. I survived through the village which was my mother, my father, my grandmother, and then I had brothers underneath me, and I had brothers before me.
How many siblings do you have? How many siblings do you have?
I have 7.
Oh, so 7 siblings, and then you got 7.
No, I came from 2 sets of families.
I know, but so it was 7 of you total, or?
No, it was 8 of us.
8 of you, but I'm saying you had 7 kids.
Yes.
So 7 siblings, and then you had 7 kids. That's amazing.
What helped me to encourage me and inspired me the most was my parents was always there for me if I needed them. My grandparents was always around if I needed them. I was raised in Florida, I had 7 blessed aunts, and they encouraged me. They gave me support if I needed someone to talk to. So that was the village. You had aunts, uncles, grandparents, mother and father, stepfather, all the sisters and brothers under you. So the village was the close-knit family that I had around me that made me strong to do what I had to do for my children and do what I had to do to make sure that they had the best thing going for them. There wasn't spoil. I had to spare the rod.
What does that mean, Gramma?
Oh, that's an old school thing. Tough love.
Okay.
That was tough love then. And
I knew she was going to start laughing. So you said You said you had to spare the rod, and you were explaining what that means.
That means that they didn't get away with too much, and when the time was right, I had to punish them. Time out.
Now tell them what that is, because you ain't got to sugarcoat. This is a family channel, Grandma. So you got to say what that means to the people out there, because it's different now.
Yes, I know it's different. That's why we had to spare the rod, which means back then, whatever belt.
So it was a spanking.
Spanking.
Oh.
Whooping.
So that's for those of you that don't know, like the old Southern style of discipline.
Go ahead and get a switch.
Yeah, so my grandma would say, go get a lot of times it was like, go get the switch, and you so scared you wouldn't even get the whooping. You're just afraid.
Go find me a belt or a switch. And a switch is, from the South, a switch is a long branch.
Yeah, a real skinny branch.
No, if it's not the right texture and the right size, when I was coming up, Grandma make you go get another one.
Yeah. And
then, if that didn't work, you found a leather belt about this long, fold it up.
Don't tell them too much.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wow.
I'm just messing with y'all. So I remember used to have us put our hand out when we did it. So yeah, you put the hand out, and you know, she wasn't even hitting you that hard. Like as a kid, you cry for anything. So you spank the hand, you fall apart and everything.
Yes. She would fall apart, and I wouldn't be hurting him. I wouldn't put no bruises on him. I just take his hand lightly, like this, and
you'd be like, ah!
And he would act like I done committed suicide on him. And in the meantime, he'll go pout, and then I get the next one that did something.
But so how was it? Because you made sure that all of us, like when my mom and when Davon's mom, when everybody went to work, like you pretty much still raised even more. You went from raising a 7 to making sure that we were all situated. So how was that, and how did you make it through all these years, making sure that we were all situated?
The reason to make sure the balance of love, the balance of the village, the balance of protecting, and the balance of connecting and communicating. If you did something wrong, I'm going to be there. Now, if you don't want me to chastise my grandchildren, then they can go home.
Yeah.
That's the way I said it.
Because you making sure that we all situated.
Right. I said, now, if you feel as though I'm a mean grandmother, and if I can't chastise them now, somebody else will, and that will be the law.
She's right, and that's what kept us on the right track.
Since I was the law, it was me. And that's how that worked in my heart. And then, like I said, it was a village, strong family ties, and tough love. And a few neighbors would say something, and I would have to get my belt.
So wait, another thing that was different when we were growing up, like if we were doing the wrong thing, like outside playing around, it wasn't just like you. It was like the neighbors were actually making sure that we were also doing the right thing. So like you would have to deal with your cousin down the street, the neighbor over here, and even though look, they might have been best friends, but that was also your aunt. The person 2 doors down was your auntie. That was your other grandma. If they were friends of my grandmother, they all, like if they saw us doing something anywhere in the neighborhood, everybody was making sure that we got back on track. And I think that's missing now. Like it seems like in the communities now.
That's where the village kind of broke up.
Yeah, but it changed as I became older, working with kids now and making sure kids are like situated. I don't see, it seems like now no one communicates, and it's like pretty much everyone for themselves, and the community isn't really a community anymore. You just kind of live in the area.
Right. That is true, and that need to get back. We need to get that village back together. I know by me being a grandmother, a great-grandmother, and a mother, my opinion, we need that village and tough love again. Because now it's a whole new generation of young people mostly raising themselves.
Yeah.
And then you have mothers that are young mothers with the responsibility of children. Saying a parent, it can be done. I did it. And anyone who wants to survive and have a family, it can be done. It really can. And the only thing I can say is tough love.
Yeah.
And a lot of these children now are they're reversing it. Like, they act like they the parent and the parent act like they the child.
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation to balance, and it needs communication and balance. And I try my best, even though I'm here for a short visit. I have seen, when I used to work as a parent aide, I have seen some of these young adults grow up and accomplish something in life. I have met some of the clients that I used to have, and they say, Miss Houston, thank you. And it was not easy, either way you put it, whether you had two parents, whether you had one parent, it still takes a village. And that village, with communication and tough love, it can be done. And we as grandparents, we're older now, and
still full of energy.
Yeah. How about that? How about that?
Look, that means it's gonna look good for me too when I get to be your age.
Yeah. So I've been blessed, and I'm proud of my children. I'm proud of my grands. I'm very proud of my great grands. They all been blessed, and I've been blessed to be able to experience the tough love that I started, the tough love that I give them, and the tough love that I will carry on through the great grands.
Yeah.
And that's all you need is a communication, tough love, and a village.
Yeah.
And I love you.
I love you too. So I'm gonna wrap for today. So pretty much what I'll be doing, I'm trying to get lots of information from different walks of life, different family members, so we can always have something to look back on and say, these were messages from my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, my mom, my cousins, and then different people that I interact with and talk about love. You touch base on tough love. My mission is to spread as much love as possible. Yeah, so that's why the Spread Love. I mean, it's a bigger vision, but I wanted to get different perspectives on love and how we all love each other amongst our family members and friendships and relationships. But I know your strong message was tough love, and that's how I became the person I became today, because of the tough love. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, and I love you. Always. I love all my children and my grands and great grands.
All right, so you got to do something for me. You're gonna say it because I always say the same thing when I wrap up. So we're gonna say, dream big.
Dream big.
Work hard.
Work hard.
Enjoy life.
Enjoy life.
And spread as
Take
much
it from me
love
and show much love.
There we go. See y'all
Thank
later.
you. Bye.